Okay. Oh god. Yikes. Ooh. Hello, planty friends, and welcome back to our Hot Mess Express planting time. Today, we have a very highly requested video, and today I am going to show you how to turn this string of hearts cutting, Variegated, baby, into this sheepfold. So, I believe I took the cuttings for this plant, I believe, the very beginning of December, and this is how much it's grown until now. It's not very pink right now because where I have it currently in my apartment, it wasn't getting a ton of sun, so I actually just moved it into a bit of a brighter spot. And of course there's been absolutely no sun since then, but you can kind of tell that at the very, very bottom, the plants are starting to get that lovely sun-stressed pink hue. So, let's begin. This is a method that I learned from my friend Therese. Shout out, girl, yes, hello. Therese is like the propagating queen, and pretty much everything I have learned about propagating has been from watching her stories and seeing what she's up to. She's currently propagating up a storm, so I highly request that you go and check out her Instagram. It's moreplants1. I'll include it in the video and I'll put a link in the description. But yeah, I basically tried this as an experiment because I had no idea if it was even gonna work, if they were gonna rot, and like, it's a variegated string of hearts, okay? So like, we don't really want to kill this plant, okay? This plant is pretty sparse because I have propagated from it so much that there are like 3 or 4 strands left. And I might actually use this method on this plant itself. I have not tried this method in terracotta. This is a ceramic pot, and I found that it's helped to keep the moisture in. A lot of people talk about string of plants, and especially string of hearts, as it being a very succulent type plant, which it is, but unlike most succulents, these babies can actually benefit from humidity. And as you'll see as I'm going through, I'll show you what I do and why I say that humidity is actually like really beneficial for them. But yeah, they love it. Oh, there's a little ghost leaf. Sweet baby. There's another one. Okay. Alright, so first things first, you're going to want to take a pair of gardening shears, preferably sterilized, and snip a cutting off. I already cut this baby. It looks like a few of the leaves at the bottom. Yeah, there's no way you're going to be able to see that. There's a few leaves at the bottom that look like they're starting to revert because they weren't getting a ton of sun, but they still have a bit of... Where's the camera? Help me. There's still a bit of pink around the edges. There's still a little bit of the white variegation, so I think we can do it. I have this little 3-inch nursery pot all ready to go. It already has soil in it. This is a mixture of, cacti and succulent soil, pumice, and some worm castings. This I propagated in, I'm pretty sure it was a mixture of succulent soil and orchid bark mix, the Pro Mix orchid mix, and it went really well. Honestly, the drainage was really good. So if you want to try it with a mix of orchid mix, that definitely works. This will be my first time trying out this mixture for propagation, so it's a bit of a risk, but we will see what happens. It's not really a terrible thing for the soil to hold a little bit of extra moisture since we're trying to root these cuttings that we're going to be taking, so let us begin. So I'm just going to start by cutting this plant between the nodes, which means between the leaves. So basically every cutting is going to look like this. Ooh. Should I do the YouTuber thing? Does it work? It's not really working. Between each node. Ooh. And the stuff at the bottom is pretty new growth, so I might just leave this and see if it will root the way that it is. It's very small. Alright, and the next thing that we're going to do is just plant these in the soil, like this. Yep, just a couple of babies. So I'm just going to spread them out. I'm going to push them slightly down into the soil, just to make sure the node's in there. Ooh, because that's where the root's gonna come from, if you aren't super familiar with propagating plants. I also forgot to mention I did wet the soil before I am planting these, so the soil has already been moistened, but you can also give your soil just like the top layer of soil, you can just give it a spritz with water if you have a little spray bottle, which if you're a plant person you probably have 80, so don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about these being super pushed down into the soil. It's just to make sure that the node's making contact with the soil. I actually didn't need this big of a pot, so I might actually take another cutting. This one's got another. She's stuck. Okay, this one's got 2 vines, so I might just trim one off and take some more cutting. This one's got some nice big leaves on it, so that will be nice. All right. Sorry, that's probably really loud. Dropping my scissors on the table. So you really want to make this as full as you can. The fuller the base of the plant, I think the better that it looks as it propagates, but it will grow a bunch of tiny, adorable new leaves. So I wouldn't worry too much about it, but for me, I prefer it to be fuller. Do I do one more cutting? Oh. Am I making a bad decision right now? Maybe. Maybe I'll just give this guy a trim. Will I regret this later? Maybe. There's no way to know. There's no way to know. I did it again. I'm so sorry. All right. So I'm just going to fill in the emptier spaces with these cuttings. And I'll show you guys what it looks like after, because I can't really show you while I'm doing this. I don't know how. That's okay. So this is what, oh God, oh my God.
This is what, oh God, oh my God.
I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but some of these actually have the little, it's like a root ball thing that string of hearts get on the node. And that's really good for like planting it right in the soil. So, all right. Some people choose to pin these down. I don't, honestly. I think if you were going to leave them and not use a Ziploc bag like I'm going to cover them with, then I think that you would probably want to, I think then you'd probably want to pin them down, but I don't, because I'm really lazy and because you don't really need to. It would definitely help if you're, like, if I were to propagate this just by wrapping the leaves, or the vines rather, around the soil, if I pinned those down, they would propagate way easier. But, maybe that's something I'll try. I've never actually done that, but I see people doing that all the time, and apparently it works. So, that's great, but this is what we're working with here. I'm gonna fix that after, but I'm just gonna show you. This is what we're working with. Like I said, you can spray the top of the soil with water if you want to, but I already moistened my soil. Moistened. I know that word bothers some people, so like, sorry, but not sorry, because I think it's funny, but all right, so once you're done that, what I do is I take a little Ziploc baggie and I just wrap it around the top of the pot. You can tighten it so that it's like as close into the pot as possible, and then just stick this in a somewhat warm, sunny spot. The more sun they get, the more pink they'll get, as with variegated string of hearts anyways. But the more pink they'll get, you want the plant to be in a warm spot to encourage the propagation. You don't really want it to be in a cold spot. I know that Therese has a little heating mat. You can buy heating mats for propagations. I'm lazy, okay? Like, maybe one day I'll get them, maybe one day I won't. Who knows? There's no way to know. So, this is what it looks like, and the Ziploc bag just kind of creates a greenhouse effect, and it helps seal in that moisture. And this is what I was talking about when I said that this plant can benefit from humidity. I've seen people put their string of hearts plants in cloches. I've seen them just have them with a Ziploc over them. That's exactly what I did with this one. This plant honestly just sits. I'll water this plant maybe once every 2 weeks, but honestly, probably once a month. And then I'll cover it with this Ziploc bag. And this is actually a nice shaped container to be covering with a Ziploc. But I just slide this over top. Very smooth. And yeah, and then I just leave it in a sunny spot. I said I moved it to a bit of a sunnier spot because I want to get that really beautiful pink variegation coming out to sun stress them. But yeah, honestly, in probably about maybe 2 weeks time, I should start seeing some little babies forming on there. Even if they haven't fully rooted, I found that they will still continue to grow, put out like little baby new growth. So I'll probably pay a little bit more attention to this because it's a starter, and I'll probably mist it once a week. But yeah, honestly, I'm excited to see how this one goes, especially in this substrate. I have not tried propagating in this substrate before, but I'm pretty confident that it's going to go just as well. as this propagation. I honestly had no idea. Like, I looked at this plant about a month ago when I moved and I was transporting it, and I put it down and I was like, wow, this has grown a lot. Like, it's just about to start trailing. And I'm so impressed with how much growth that this has put in. Like, this is a really full string of hearts. And listen, this is Canada, okay? You don't just find variegated string of hearts. One does not simply find variegated string of hearts. So when you do find them, they're usually in a 2 or 4 inch pot, and it's usually just like 2 or 3 vines. And like, listen, I'm grateful that I found my variegated string of hearts when I did, but I kind of wish that I had propagated them like this before, because it is such a full plant, and like, propagation and cutting your plants back is the only way to really get a super full looking, like, bushier looking plant. So I have this plant. I have one other little terracotta pot of variegated string of hearts, because I did separate mine when I first got them because I was terrified that I was going to kill them. So I might just take what I have left and start them off in a new pot and just watch them grow, because honestly, watching this grow has been so fun and rewarding, and it's just really fun. It's fun to propagate, you know? It's just fun to propagate. And yeah, I'm excited to share how this propagation goes with you guys. I'm gonna post updates on my Instagram if you're not following me. My Instagram is Desert Plant Diarist. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I might post like an update video in a few months. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's really that simple. And I know Teresa's done this method with a ton of other string of plants. Like, she propagates string of turtles. She propagates everything. So I might take some cuttings of my string of turtles and try doing this method with them. Let me know if you'd be interested in seeing a video of that, but it's really just the same process as this. It's exactly the same. Yeah, the Ziploc bag is really the key to this propagation technique. So if you don't have them and you have any sort of like glass container or any other sort of container that you can put over top, it'll have the same effect. And you'll be able to tell if it's working because you'll see condensation start on the bag. You'll be able to see the condensation. So that's how you know it's working. But yeah, I mean, honestly, guys, that's that. It's really as simple as that. People always ask me how I grew this variegated string of hearts. And that's the tea, fam. So if you want to follow along for updates, follow me on Instagram. Maybe I'll do a video. We'll see how long we're stuck in self-isolation. Honestly, if you're an introvert, I feel like self-isolation isn't really that hard. Especially if you're a lazy introvert like me. Like, I've just been playing Animal Crossing. I know I said that in my last video, but Animal Crossing is basically life right now. Animal Crossing and plants. So as long as we have the time, I'll be here. But it seems like we're gonna have a lot of time. So thank you guys for joining me for another video. If you liked it, hit that like button, baby. If you want to see more, subscribe, honey. I just hit myself in the face. If you want to see more, feel free to subscribe, follow me on Instagram. And I don't really know what video I'm going to do next, but I'm very open to suggestions. So let me know what you guys want to see, and I'll see you in the next one.